And that if that's so, I'd like us to find another way of dealing with it. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I don't really think it's that big of a problem. I don't see what the big deal is, really. I don't think it's a problem.
I'm wanting to give evidence now of why it is a big problem. How much beer I see going on, some things that have happened when she's been drunk. So I had to take a deep breath. So it's kind of frustrating for you now to deal with this, because for you, you're not worried in the way that I am. You'd like some trust that you can handle that.
I can take care of myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That helps me get clear then. I guess what I'd really like to do is leave the drinking off for the moment, and I'd really like to know what it would take for you to share with me what is bothering you in a way that you would feel safe to do it, so I could feel more connected to what's really going on in you. What would you need from me to feel the safety to do that?
Well, I'd like you not to talk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So you're thinking of some of the discussions we've had and how uncomfortable you were with that, and you'd like to avoid getting into those kind of listening to me talk about things.
I just feel with you, Dad, that I can never do anything right. I can't do anything right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
yeah. Now I'm jackling myself a bit. I'm thinking of all the lecturing I've done and beating myself up. See? And I hear behind that just my sadness because of how much I want this connection. Now I can start to hear her again. So you certainly want to avoid getting into any discussions that end with you ending up feeling hurt because you didn't get the understanding you wanted, and instead were hearing criticism.
Yes, right.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel really sad because I would have liked to have listened so much differently in the past than I was able to. So I have no trouble understanding that need of yours. I would have liked to have responded differently. That's mourning in giraffe. You see, I didn't think I'm a bad father. I'm very clearly just mourning that I would have liked to have responded differently than I did. And I'm confident that I can listen differently than I did in the past. I can express my pain differently so that you'll get more understanding and there won't be the criticism. And I'd like you to tell me how you feel when I tell you I'm confident that I'm learning how to do that.
I think that would really help.
Yep. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there we go. One of the big things that I think that Marshall really, really indicates in all of his tapes is the main issue of empathy, and how so many times we really don't listen long enough or deep enough on what is going on with another person. We're perhaps caught up in our head thinking of what we want to share, and I would just like to suggest you really take the time to really listen. I think that's a key ingredient with empathy in life. But now, Mary, I'm so excited. We haven't stopped talking for 2 hours practically. And how important this mindfulness and being able to do those self-check-ins with ourselves and not continuously go around that same mountain of thought that isn't enriching even our own energy field.
Exactly, because what people don't fully seem to grasp is when they're unhappy, the person that's most affected is themselves. It's spilling onto everyone around you, but I don't want to be around somebody unhappy.
No, you don't want to get under that dark cloud.
No. And you know what? Someone who's unhappy, oftentimes they really don't want to be around somebody unhappy either. Even though they say misery loves company, they really don't want to be around somebody because they might be more miserable than I am, and I certainly don't want to hear about their misery.
So that's one of my favorite games. I love to get people to the point, especially if they've got that dark cloud going on, to smile in spite of themselves.
Yes.
It's almost, what kind of gift do you have to contribute to lift someone else's spirits? Maybe they're having an off day. Hey, we all have them. But
Yes.
still, the intent.
The intent.
So tell us some more
So,
about this.
This is about thoughts and how the thoughts that dominate our mind is what you're going to play out in life. So if you've got a negative track going on, you're pretty soon it's going to be coming out of your mouth, and all your actions are going to start to be in the negative. Slamming doors, screaming at somebody, giving somebody the finger, because the track in your mind is feeding it. And the more you feed it, the stronger it gets. So this is what else Napoleon Hill talks about. He calls it the law of autosuggestion, because what you're telling your mind all day long is an autosuggestion. And other people can reinforce it. So like when you're a child and your parent is saying to you, you're terrible, you're a bad girl, you're never going to amount to anything, you're a piece of trash. That child starts to take that in, and that starts to become the track that as they're an adult, guess what they're now telling themselves? I'm really bad. I'm no good. I'm not going to amount to anything. They took that talk that was outside of them and fed to them, and it gets in deep, and then that starts to become their own track. And then you're going to attract more of that.
The power of words. I can't say it enough. There's
exactly.
life and death in the tongue.
Absolutely. The words that are selected and the tone that is used. Those are the two things that have more power in them than people really understand. They really can affect your life and somebody else's life, for the better or for the worse. So here's what Napoleon says about the law of autosuggestion. It works for the glory and success of mankind. If it is used constructively, it'll do that. On the other hand, if used destructively, it will destroy just as readily. That's how powerful that is. In this statement may be found a very significant truth, namely that those who go down in defeat and end their lives in poverty, misery, and distress do so because of negative application of the principle of autosuggestion. All impulses of thought have a tendency to clothe themselves in their physical equivalent. So what that means is you are going to continue to manifest the negative if you are giving it thoughts and words of poverty, misery, and distress. Guess what your life is going to be? Poverty, misery, distress. It's going right into the subconscious mind, where you're not even consciously aware of it. So a child, when they're taking that in, it's going right into their subconscious. And that's why it perpetuates later as an adult, because it's at a level that they're not even fully aware of what they're saying. So what Napoleon Hill then talks about is the subconscious mind makes no distinction between constructive and destructive thought impulses. It works with the material we feed it through our thought impulses. The subconscious mind will translate into reality a thought driven by fear just as readily as it will translate into reality a thought driven by courage or faith. So what he is saying is whatever you feed, parent telling you you're never going to amount to anything, that child's mind isn't going, wait a minute, little Susie, that's really negative. We're not going to let that in.
Right.
They're subconscious.